guys, it's Deanna from Stitches Quilting. And hello everybody, it's Deanna from Stitches Quilting, and today we are going to work on some curved piecing for quilting blocks. And so I'm going to just kind of give you a brief introduction, if you like, on how to do curved piecing, and if you are good at curved piecing, if you could please share all of your tips and tricks. So we're going to work on this kind of curved piecing right here, and it's going to be super simple so that you can go and not commit yourself to a really hard quilt block with curved piecing or quilt top. What we're going to do is I'm going to teach you some basics about curved piecing so that you can just do this whenever you want to and experiment with it and then see if you'd like to do a curved piece quilt. So let's go ahead and get started here. I am Deanna in Salt Lake City, Utah. Hi, Amanda. It's so good to see you. I love it. I absolutely love it. So who has tried curved piecing here and who has not tried curved piecing here? It's really kind of fun to experiment with it and to see what it's like. So let me go ahead and get started. So I have just some basic paper here. And what I want you to do is just pull out some basic paper. Bring it down so it's gone, the paper is at a square point. Hello, Belle. Hi, Jane. It's so good to see everybody. So bring it down so that you have a square piece of paper if you want. I think it's kind of a little bit easier. So I have this one cut to 8.5 inches square. I am then just going to grab a simple pencil. And what I want you guys to do is I want you guys to experiment with this and just experiment with some curved piecing, because sometimes curved piecing can be a little overwhelming, but we are going to play around with it and experiment without committing ourselves to an entire quilt. Yes, it's good. Amanda, this will be a fun little challenge. And then if you want to, use some of your scrap fabrics or whatever, make this into a hot pad, make a small wall hanging, whatever you want to do. So here's my 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pencil. Remember, we're keeping this really simple. I'm going to take my pencil and I'm just going to make a curve, okay? Right like that. And then, so you can see we've got a curved piece right there. Okay, so it doesn't have to be perfect or exact. Okay, so there's lots of piecing out there. I am now going to put some registration marks on my curve. Okay, so I'm going to put like some marks there. I'm going to put some marks, how about right here, since we're doing beginning, about right here and about right here. Okay, I am then going to take paper scissors. I'm not going to use my nice fabric scissors. Oh, Amanda, you just embroidered the block names on your Live Well, Live Strong quilt top. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait to see it. I cannot wait to see it. Okay, I am just going to use paper scissors and I'm going to cut my piece of paper. Okay, just right like this. And then you can see that gives us the shapes for our quilt block that is curved. Okay, I have another one over here that I'm going to bring out. So earlier I did these two pieces right like this, and you can see my registration marks. I did 3 of them. Okay, you could do 3, 4, whatever you want to do. And sometimes the smaller the block, the easier it is to stitch a curved piecing. I have cut this one out. I put some pins on here and I cut this out with a 1/4 inch seam around it. So you can see if you often trim your seams on the sides, you can then rather get a good 1/4 inch seam over here on the arc. So let's go ahead and lay this one on this piece of fabric. And I'm just doing some blues here from my scrap fabrics. Let me grab some pins. And we're going to pin our piece of paper here to our fabric. And then what we are going to be doing, and you could be so creative with your curved piecing when you're doing this type of method. You know what? I'm going to move that over a little bit because I want to make sure I have at least a 1/4 inch seam over on this side. So I'm going to just bring that over just slightly, kind of cut a piece of scrap from a scrap. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to just bring this down. Let's go ahead and pin this in place. And then I'm going to show you, I'm going to go ahead and trim some 1/4 inch seams. I recommend trimming your 1/4 inch seam on your sides first. So let's go ahead. I'm going to set my paper scissors aside, and I'm going to just trim this right like that. So you guys, we've got cute little, and I'm going to go over here on my other 90-degree angle, or my straight edge, and I'm just going to make sure that that's a good 1/4 of an inch seam. Okay, so I cleaned that one off. Once again, I'm going to do the same thing on this other straight edges on either side. Kind of shifted just a little bit there, but that's okay. And I'm going to do the same thing right over here. So, and then what I'm going to do is I can kind of get a good feel for where my 1/4 of an inch seams are like and what the 1/4 inch seam looks like. I can then go in here and start trimming this like this and just kind of bring this along. You could do it this way, or you could pull up your scissors and trim it off that way, whichever one is more comfortable with you. I'm just using the rotary cutting blade right here. And as I go along the curve of this, I'm kind of just moving my ruler around. Okay, so we have our 2 pieces. Hello, Michelle from Texas. It's good to see you, Delinda. I love seeing everybody. So we've got cute little Betty, went to the hospital again, and now she's on hospice. Okay, now you can see I did these little registration marks. Remember, we did those little lines inside there to match this. I am now going to carry my registration marks over to my fabric. Okay, and remember, this is a 1/4 of an inch seam, so these little marks will not be seen on your curved quilt block. So I'm using just a Fix-On pen, and I'm going to just bring those over right like that, and I'm just marking them over into my 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, let's bring this along and bring that along. And you know what, that's not showing up super good on that blue. So whenever you do this, you want to kind of pick a color that's going to show up on whatever fabric you're doing. So maybe I'll go ahead and not do blue and green, but maybe the red and the green. Okay, this one, I think you'll be able to see it in the camera a little bit better. Let me go ahead and bring this over and bring that over. Now, this next one I'm going to be using blue fabric, so I'm actually going to use a white marker on the blue fabric, or we could use black. We could try the black. So it could, you know, it just is random, the different things that might work or might not work. Remember, if you use a pen on your fabrics, you do want to make sure that it's something that will work out. This is a brand new pen, so I've got to make sure that this is, and this is a white pen. See if it's going to work on there. Let's go to the black. Maybe the ink isn't all the way down. I don't know. I'll check that out. Okay, I'm going to mark this with the black pen on this darker blue. Let's make sure this one, this is a real faint black, really fine point. Okay, let's go back to the white. Let me make sure this white is working. So we've got Betty and Brant. Well, Betty's on hospice, so I've been helping out there again. And then also, let's just use this one. This is my pencil. Okay, I've got my pencil mark, and I can see these little pencil marks right here. At least where I am sitting, I can see these. Okay, and I'm going to show you now how we're going to pin these. I'm going to remove my papers from this. And Ashley, my daughter-in-law, is having twins. Can you imagine? So I have little Ellie as one granddaughter, but now she's having twins. So we're going to be making a lot of, or I'm going to be making several baby things. So you can see right here, I've got my little registration marks right there with that kind of like a light blue pencil. It's right there. And I've got these over here. And then I've got these registration marks that I have made with the curve right here, here, and here. Now we are going to put these right sides together, and I'm going to match my registration marks. So let me hold this up for the camera for you. So remember, I've got these two light blue ones, and over here I've kind of got this other darker color because that's a lighter shade of fabric. Okay, now that we're going to match these up right like this, and then we're going to do some pinning right there. So let's go ahead and pin this right where that was. Then we're going to take our next registration mark. So you don't need a pattern to start experimenting with curved piecing, okay? Because you don't want to commit yourself to a whole sewing pattern and then have to buy all that fabric, and then maybe you don't like curved piecing, okay? So this is a good way to try out curved piecing without investing in a lot of things. And I can't wait to show you what I'm working on that's curved piecing. It's something for the little newborns. Or maybe for Ashley and myself, maybe. I don't know. I'll show you guys. I have to get that done. So, okay, so I've got some pins in here. I'm now going to go ahead and pin over my side. And we're putting these right sides together, right like that. So, tell me what else you guys are stitching on or what you're doing. What the weather is like where you are. Do you have a garden growing? I am working on my garden and it is growing. It's just amazing. It's like magic when those gardens grow. We now have more. Hi, Victor. How are you? We are working on some curved piecing. So can you see that right there? So I've got this excess over on this side, and then I've got this on this side, okay? So now let's go ahead and let's put this under the sewing machine. And I'm going to move this in here, and we're going to want to sew at about our 1/4 inch seam allowance, okay? So let's go ahead and bring this over right here. And let me get my little pedal just in a good strategic location. I'm going to move my sewing machine over a little bit. And let's go ahead and start piecing this. And we're going to do our 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay. Oh, let's see here. Something. Oh, my machine came off that top bar right there. My thread. Let me go ahead and popped off. Go ahead and just thread this up along my upper looper right in there. Okay, let's put this back underneath. So now let's go ahead and sew these together, and we're going to ease these fabrics in. Let's bring it this way, and let's ease these together. And it's going to just go absolutely fantastic. You'll be surprised. So you can make any type of curve that you want to. Victor says he just did a quilt top and baby blanket last night. Did you really, Victor? I am just stunned that there is going to be twins in this family. And they should be due the end of August. And he has a garden in his pots on his patio. And he has 5 cucumbers. In fact, this is the first year. Last year I tried to grow cucumbers, but they just didn't grow. So I'm trying cucumbers again, and I actually have several blossoms coming. So I'm feeding this through my sewing machine, and I'm just kind of easing it as I move along my stitching. And then we're going to press this and see how our curve came out. So if you do a curve like this, then you don't have to worry as much about if it's just a arching curve, and it doesn't have to be super, super perfect. Let's go ahead and grab our iron. It is hot. And I'm going to just go ahead and iron this on top real fast. But look at how beautiful that pieced curving came out. Can you see how simple that is? So what you want to do is, if you're wanting to learn some curved piecing, just experiment with a paper, a pencil, do your arch that you have right there, and then just go ahead and mark it. Make sure you have some registration marks of where to piece that together. You can see over here I did 4 registration marks. That tells you where to pin things, and you can see how beautiful that is. Look at that beautiful little block. Now you can have them. This is more like improv piecing, you guys. All right, so it's improv piecing. And when I cut this, remember we are just using a basic piece of paper. I did it 8.5 inches square. You might even, because you might have some that come out way over here and here. You could have lots of different sizes going on here. But you could plan on, if you're going to use a piece of paper, you could plan on taking these all down to the to maybe 8 inches square as a finished quilt block, you know, so you can square it up. You could actually go ahead and, let's go ahead and do this one more time. Let me give you one other idea. Go ahead and cut this and pretend like it's a square. I'm going to just go ahead and trim this real fast. The other thing that you can do is take a piece of paper like this, and say this is our 8.5-inch square, and you want all of your squares to be pretty much the same, take this and then go and Xerox copy it, just like that. And then you would have very similar circles or pieced curving. And it's kind of nice doing it improv piecing, because then you just don't have to worry about them being absolutely perfect, you know? So anyways, you guys, I just hope you enjoy this tutorial. Experiment with some pieced curved piecing, and just do it improv so you can go ahead and just see what that looks like, and you can see what a beautiful result you get. So post some pictures if you can of your curved piecing over in the Everyone Can Quilt group on Facebook, and we will see you guys a little bit later. Thank you for your patience. I'm so glad you guys joined me today, and it's so fun to see all of you guys. We'll talk to you a little bit later. I'll be back next Monday at noon. Thank you. Have a great day, and happy quilting and happy stitching.